Hi, if I've timed this correctly, today's presentation will air just in time for Easter. Now, on previous occasions, I've talked about my top 5 guns for rabbit hunting and my top 5 handguns for rabbit hunting. But with the approaching Easter holiday, the subject has come up of hunting chocolate rabbits. So today we're going to talk about some firearms and field dressing and cooking chocolate bunnies. Now, when we're talking about hunting, it's not just about killing an animal. That's part of the equation, but hardly the whole thing. Hunting is also about heritage and tradition and culture and the pageantry of hunting. When you go into the field hunting, you need practical gear, but that has to be balanced against the pageantry of hunting. For example, you see this range jacket that I wear. Well, it is eminently practical for what we do here, but it's not just a range coat. It's really made for hunting. There's shot shell loops in the pockets, and it has a game bag. And because this was made by Bob Allen Fashions circa 1975, it's not only practical, but it's part of the pageantry of hunting. And in cold weather like today, I top this off with an insulated Jones cap, and I'm styling. When we're going hunting for chocolate bunnies, we have to use certain firearms that are not just practical for the task, but also represent the heritage, culture, tradition, and pageantry of hunting. So let me show you some firearms that I think will reflect that. Let's take a look. This is my Winchester Model 1897 12-gauge shotgun. As far as I can tell, it was manufactured circa 1908, and since then, someone has cut off the barrel, and the stock has been refinished, and it's been reblued. Shotguns can be very effective for hunting rabbits, but there can be a downside when trying to use a shotgun to hunt chocolate bunnies. Let me show you what I mean. The problem with hunting chocolate bunnies with a shotgun is that it requires that I bring the rather non-traditional hunting accessory of a broom and dustpan to sweep him up so I can put him in the game bag. Let's try a different type of firearm. Next on my list is a firearm that I consider to be practical and traditional, the Marlin Model 60 caliber .22 long rifle. Let's see how much of our chocolate bunny we can salvage after we shoot him with this. Much more effective. Now, let's try another type of firearm. Now I'm wearing my shot shell vest. It's duck hunter camo, it has a padded shooting shoulder, it has shot shell loops, it's traditional, it's cool, and it's very practical when I'm hunting with my absolutely favorite gun for shooting chocolate bunnies, my Stoeger Uplander double-barreled 20-gauge shotgun. Let's take a couple of shots with this. I want to take a moment to discuss a little bit about the tactics of hunting chocolate bunnies, and there's 2 things I want to cover. First, it's perfectly legal to bait a chocolate bunny. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to attract a smiley face chocolate bunny with a smiley face plastic carrot. I'll stick that right there. No, that's not a cow pie, it's just dirt. And we'll see if that will attract our chocolate bunny. Got it. The second thing I want to discuss is that chocolate bunnies are often in very close proximity to peeps, and hunters concern themselves with being able to shoot the bunny and not hit the peeps. Let's see if I can accomplish that with my Stoeger 20-gauge shotgun. So can I hit the chocolate bunny without hitting the peeps? Apparently the answer is no, but not to despair. If you read the fine print in your chocolate bunny tag, you'll see that it does allow you to shoot peeps as well. And these peeps will come in really handy in the cooking process of the chocolate bunnies, and we'll see that a little later. Now I want to take a moment to discuss a little bit about the quality of chocolate bunnies. Here's Carrot Patch Pete, and let me read you some of his ingredients. Sugar, hydrogenated vegetable oil, whey, cocoa processed with alkali, and then it goes on. Now we've tried these and they've been described as horrific, and although it does have cocoa in it, so technically it can be called a chocolate bunny, even the manufacturer can't quite bring themselves to call it that. It's stamped right here, decorated solid milk chocolate flavored. Now by contrast, here's a Lindt, that's with a D, Lindt chocolate bunny. Let's read some of his ingredients. Sugar, cocoa butter, milk chocolate, and then it goes on to explain the ingredients of milk chocolate. We've tried this and it's been described as pretty good. However, it's hollow. That's like cheating. And that brings me to a subject that I've mentioned before, and that's holiday catharsis. Let me show you what I mean. So behind me I've got our Lindt Chocolate Bunny and 6 of his fraudulent Chocolate Bunny pals. I also have my Rock Island Armory VR60 shotgun. Let's see what kind of damage I can do with this. Now that's holiday catharsis. Now it's time to do some cooking, and the dish we're going to prepare today is chocolate bunny fudge. And it comes with a couple of caveats. One, and I've mentioned this before, when cooking in the field, things have to be done in real time and there's no do-overs. So you really are going to have to put up with my Shatner-esque pauses and my annoying habit of tripping over letters and syllables. Secondly, we're going to do some multitasking. We're going to test a product. This is stove in a can, anywhere, anytime, any weather. Now, I have taken the lid off this and inspected the contents, but other than that, I have not used this product at all. So we're going to be testing it while cooking our chocolate bunny. Let's get started. So first, let's check our contents of stove in a can. And you open this about the same way you'd open a paint can. And here's something really great. They included matches. Now these are cheap strike-on-box only matches, but at least they're in there. And it also comes with 4 of these fuel cells. You'll only use one at a time. This ring you put on the can like so you can set a pan on top of it. Now today, because we'll be cooking with the cauldron hanging from the tripod, we won't need this. And this piece of metal, you'll twist into a coil and then set your fuel cell on top of that. And there's instructions. We'll set our fuel cell in, our coil in here, and we'll put a fuel cell in there, and you're supposed to just light the wrapper of this. Well, we'll see how that works. And we'll see how their matches included in the can work. If I can keep the wind from blowing that out, we'll be okay. And it went out. And remember, this is only the second time I've opened this can, and only the first time I've tried to use the product, and this box of matches is already falling apart. Well, so far lighting it in the can seems to be the better way to go. So put that down here. We'll give that a few minutes to really get burning. And we'll put our cauldron on top of it. The real thing about doing anything with chocolate is you've got to do it on low heat. Preferably we'd have a double boiler, but here in the field we don't have any such luxuries. So let's go get our chocolate bunny. While I was assembling my ingredients, our fuel disc in the stove went out again, so I had to take it out and score it with my pocket knife, then light it with a cigarette lighter to get it going. So maybe the matches that are included aren't going to be sufficient. But now it's been burning for about 5 minutes, so let's start putting our ingredients in the cauldron. And we're going to start with our Red Feather canned pure creamery butter. Normally I would keep this pretty high off the stove, but it's a little breezy, so it looks like we're going to have to lower our cauldron just a little bit. About that much. Now, we're going to add in Carrot Patch Pete. And you've got to pay very close attention to how the chocolate bunny goes in the cauldron. Is that the space shuttle? If you're really going to make fudge, you've got to make it out of some kind of chocolate from Ghirardelli or Nestle or some reputable company, not out of a chocolate bunny you got from the dollar store. So now we're going to let this melt for a while and then add our marshmallows. When you're making fudge, you want it to be the right consistency, and that's part of the reason why you add marshmallows. However, because marshmallows are pure sugar, you can make the fudge, in my opinion, too sweet. And that's why I'm using these Ghirardelli 60% cacao bittersweet chocolate chips. And you'll make up for the bitterness of the chocolate by the sweetness of the marshmallows, and that's where your peeps come in, because they are marshmallows. And just like the chocolate bunny, there's a very specific technique for putting the peeps into your fudge mix. Kim Kardashian? And then we'll stir those marshmallows in and get them to melt. You'll also notice that I lowered the height of the cauldron. That stove is just not putting out a great deal of heat. And we're getting a little bit of wind blowing. So I might end up having to lower it even more or put up some kind of wind block. But for right now, we'll let those marshmallows melt and we'll carefully add just enough more chocolate chips. That ought to do it. Now our marshmallows are starting to get melted fairly well, and our fuel disk has been burning for 30 minutes, and it looks like it still has quite a bit of life left in it. Now our marshmallows are all melted. I've removed our windbreak, and I've raised this up to lower the heat just a little bit. It looks like we're doing pretty well. So now I'll add our Future Essentials Deluxe Mixed Nuts, roasted and salted. Crucial thing about these canned nuts is you gotta get the desiccant pack out. And then you have to carefully add them, and I'm not kidding around this time. You have to carefully add them and make sure you look for the second desiccant pack. And we'll stir that in. That's looking pretty good. And then put it in our glass baking dish to allow it to set. Another crucial thing is, as you pour this in, you got to remember the legs of this cauldron are hot. And it still looks like we have quite a while left in our stove in a can. So I'm going to leave that burning just so I can see how long it will burn. Now, let me show you the very unique cooling process for our fudge. And I learned this cooling technique from a TV commercial I saw a long time ago, where somebody was advertising something and the man said that most people like to eat it right out of the freezer, but he preferred his room temperature. So we'll cool that off for a while, and we'll give it a try. And now it has been 45 minutes, and our fuel disk is just down to ashes. So it looks like we're gonna get 40 minutes of good burn time out of it. That's really not bad. A couple more things to add. First, after our fuel disk burned completely out, this can stayed hot for a long time. You have to let the can cool off. But after it did, I was able to put all the components back in there, the lid sealed up tight. except for the fact that the matches they included and the box in which those matches were packed being very low quality, it looks like Stove in a Can could have a lot of uses. Now, as far as our fudge, I like the taste of chocolate more than I like something that's overwhelmingly sweet. So I'm going to start with the bittersweet chocolate chips, add the marshmallows, and when I'm done, it should have a sweetness level that's pretty close to semi-sweet chocolate chips. If you want your fudge to be sweeter, start with the semi-sweet chocolate chips, add the marshmallows, and that'll give you a level of sweetness that should be good for most people. If you're one of those people that craves sugar so much that you actually eat Pixie Sticks, or you're one of those people that pours sugar on their Frosted Flakes, if that's who you are, skip this process entirely and just eat the dollar store chocolate bunny. But with that having been said, let's check out our fudge. And I can tell by the consistency that I really needed to let it sit a little bit longer, and I may have used just a little more butter than I should have. But in terms of taste and level of sweetness, this, I gotta say, is just about perfect. At least perfect for me. Remember I said in real time? So, as always, don't try the stone on what you call a professional, and happy Easter, everybody.